Hey, what's going on guys? Today's video is going to be going over the Zenurik Focus School. I'm planning on making one of these videos for each focus school. I'm starting with Zenurik simply because it's the bread and butter of focus. It's one of the few ways in the game that you can increase the energy that your Warframe gains. This makes it good on almost any Warframe, and I personally use it on the majority of my builds. But for this video, I'm going to be giving a comprehensive look at each ability in the Zenurik Focus School. I'll go over what they do in terms of gameplay, and then I'll show a practical example of it. So let's start out with Energy Pulse. And just FYI, I'm going to be talking about the max rank of each ability. What this passive does is it increases the energy that pickups grant, up to 50% additional energy over 5 seconds. Normally, energy orbs grant you 25 energy per orb, but with this passive, when you pick up an orb, you will gain up to 37 energy. This additional energy regeneration will be stopped if you're using a channeled ability. The next passive, Energy Dash, creates a dome of energy every time you void dash with your operator. This dome lasts for 8 seconds, and at max rank, allies that pass through it gain 5 energy per second for 30 seconds, meaning that one application of this skill on your Warframe will give you up to 150 extra energy. And while the dome is up, you can either sit inside it or pass through it multiple times to refresh the buff. Again, like Energy Pulse, this passive regeneration is stopped when a channeled ability is active. Operators also benefit from this regeneration with their void energy as well as their amp energy. And while you're in your operator form, your Warframe can still benefit from the passive regeneration. The next ability here, Lightning Dash, is also an augment for your operator's void dash. What Lightning Dash does is every time you void dash, it creates a ball of lightning energy that slowly travels and zaps enemies within its range. This ability costs 10 energy and deals pulses of 800 electricity damage to enemies within its range. The damage here is only really useful at lower levels, but you can proc electricity procs on higher level enemies, causing them to be stunned. Termite is a passive that increases your melee channeling efficiency. This is pretty basic and allows you to channel things like Life Strike more efficiently. Hopefully you guys get that without me showing an example. Temporal Blast is an augment to your operator's Void Blast that slows enemies up to 80% for 15 seconds. This can also affect most bosses. So you can see as I cast it on these butchers, the ones that are knocked down get slowed and take longer to get back up. Overall, I would not consider this very useful, simply because you can kill enemies instead of slowing them. The next ability, Voltaic Blast, is also an augment to your Void Blast ability, and creates a surge of electricity that travels through enemies, dealing up to 200% more damage. The enemies hit by this receive an electricity status proc, causing them to be stunned. The damage here can be used to kill lower level enemies, and on higher level enemies, similar to Lightning Dash, will stun them for a few seconds. So as you can see on these lower level enemies, they die pretty easily. Overall, I would say this is an improvement on the Temporal Blast, and it seems that the electricity procs that chain through enemies can also slow, making Voltaic Blast an overall improvement of Temporal Blast if you like that skill. Void Static is an augment to the operator's crouch, that while crouched emits a pulse of electricity damage that deals up to 500 damage in a 15 meter radius. At max rank, this costs an additional energy every second that you're crouched, making it so that you can't stay crouched as long. The damage here is pretty mediocre and can't proc electricity status. Void Singularity is again an augment to your operator's crouch that acts like a vortex and pulls in enemies at max rank a 20 meter radius around your operator and costs an additional 2 energy a second. Again, because of the additional energy cost, this means that you can't stay in void mode as long. And overall, I would say that both Void Static and Void Singularity are not worth the additional energy cost, especially because having enemies pull to your operator is not particularly useful and the damage is mediocre at best. And finally, the two waybound passives of the Zenurik Energy School, Void Siphon and Void Flow. Void Siphon increases your operator's energy regeneration by up to 90%. This only affects your operator's energy and not its amp. And Void Flow increases your operator's total energy pool. This, again, like Void Siphon, only increases your operator's energy and not the amp. The difference for this can be a little confusing because the amp energy looks like your Warframe's normal energy, but that's not really the operator energy. The operator energy is the little circle in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. The UI for this is a little confusing and could definitely use an update, but it's what we have right now. Having the extra energy here allows your operator both to have more void dashes and stay in void mode longer. As far as what I'd recommend for someone looking to invest in the Zenurik Focus School, this is generally the tree that I use. Although, Lightning Dash and Termite are not necessary. They add a little bit of utility, and I personally enjoy using them. But I also have a focus pool of 177, meaning that I can use all of these in addition to all the wavebound passives if I want. But that's going to do it for this first Focus School video. I hope you guys found this useful, and if you have any comments on the format that I use, please let me know before the next video. And as always, if you did find this video helpful, I'd appreciate it if you leave a like and subscribe for future content.